What's going on, everybody out there, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger comic book review as we continue forward in the experimentation phase. Now, this episode, we're going to be doing something different once again. Now, we weren't prepared for this episode, to be quite honest. In this episode, I'm going to throw it out there now, we are going to be reviewing all of our books digitally. Now, we wanted to try this at a later date. Actually, we were going to try this during the second to last week of December when we knew our books were going to be coming late. We were going to read all of our books digitally and then do the full review digitally. This week, there was a bit of a mix-up. Long story, don't want to get into it, but we did not get our books on the first week of December. They're coming with this week's books the second week of December. And Mike will get into the date in a moment. So instead of doing the fully digital review then, we decided let's do it now. Now the problem is, the reason this review is late, it's on Wednesday instead and going up on probably Thursday morning and not on Monday, is because we had to read our books starting Saturday. When we did the digital one, we wanted to start reading on Wednesday and try to get the review up even earlier. That didn't happen. So we're going to experiment this week with that. And as always, we're going to try to do the way we've always reviewed our books, discuss the books that we really want to talk about, and then the regular, every other book that we don't really have much to say, we'll just give a little bit on, and then move forward from there. I'm sure we're still going to go about 20 minutes. How many books do we have in this review?
17, I think.
17?
I think. I don't
I think I had more than that. I think we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21. We have 21 books.
Oh, okay.
21 books. Not bad. Not one over 20.
All right.
1 over 20. And I didn't even put in Green Lanterns because I'm just done with that series. So that tells you my thoughts on Green Lanterns right now. But the books in this review were released on
December 6, 2017, the first week of December. 'Tis the season to be jolly. That is why we are wearing our Santa hats.
Yes.
To bring in the Christmassy, Hanukkah, whatever-ish thing.
Alright, so let us know what you guys think about the all-digital review now. If we did do this moving forward, after now, when we finish all the testing, if we did do this moving forward, there still would be a haul video. I just feel like this would help get our review out a little bit earlier, get us to read a little bit earlier, because usually when it comes to the physical books, sometimes we actually wait for the physical books. This would help us get a little bit of a head start and prevent kind of us from being super, super late sometimes. Let's see what happens, but you guys let us know what you think about this review. Unfortunately, we can't show you any art from inside the book, but we'll be able to talk about it. Independence first. Paper Girls issue number 18. I really enjoy Paper Girls in general. We get some questions answered in this book. We find out that the leader of the I forgot what they call it, grandfather, whatever, is the baby from the previous arc. We got Mac, who thinks that KJ was swapped somehow because KJ came out about being gay. That crazy old lady from the end of the last issue, tries to keep the girls where, in her house because of what's going on outside with the mechs and whatnot. And only one of the girls can see this, by the way. And the girls end up escaping, and the woman says, if you get captured, it's all over, it's all done. So obviously the girls are of some importance, because whatever is going on right now throughout the time stream, they are the epicenter, and if they get captured, it's done. Everything that's happened is over. So somehow, I guess this is one of those things where the girls have to find their way home, and that's where this whole arc, I feel like, or this whole story will. And I've been loving Paper Girls since the very beginning. I really have. Yeah. Honestly, I really wish I was smart enough. I do have issue number 1. I have the first issue signed by everybody involved, but I never continued the series. If there's any book I regret not buying issue to issue, it was Paper Girls. And maybe one day I'll get all those issues, but if not, I am definitely getting the trade. The hardcover is actually coming out soon, so definitely keep an eye out for that. Artwork's always the same. I enjoy it. Definitely something to check out. Klaus and the Crisis in Xmasville. Now, those of you that know, I reviewed the Klaus miniseries. Klaus started off, actually, as a miniseries. It was a miniseries that came out a couple of years ago, and it was like Santa Claus, but badass origin, and it was awesome. Everybody, I believe it was in Jay's top every single time it came out in this miniseries. And the one-shot Last Christmas we had a one-shot as well. And I liked them. I really did. I thought that the miniseries was great. The one-shot continued from where the miniseries was. It brought us to present day, and it brought Klaus into the present day, and it had a great story attached to it, great characters attached to it, and it felt like it belonged in the universe. This book did not. This book went full-on crazy sci-fi, aliens. Like Brand said on Frontline Live, they were taking things from all different kinds of books, with the evil clone of Klaus, the Fortress of Solitude that's really a bat cave on the inside, Father Old Man Winter. There was just a lot of aspects in here that really, I mean, we all know that Grant Morrison is out there sometimes. This was out there, and it was so out there, it did not feel like I was reading a Klaus book anymore, and that really upset me, because when it comes to Klaus, we knew what, reading Klaus and the one-shot, I came in with a certain expectation. I did not expect what I read, and I did not really... It was something I didn't enjoy as much as the previous miniseries and one-shot. It didn't feel right. It felt a little bit too out there, and I think that's what took away from the book and why it honestly is very, very low on my list this week. And if I had to rate all of my Klaus reading, like all the Klaus books, including this one will be at the very bottom of all of the Klaus books. This would be my worst out of all the Klaus books, honestly. Artwork was okay, a little sketchy at times, but again, the book was just way out there for me.
Yeah, speaking of worse and way out there, Savage Dragon issue number 229. I am finished and done with this book. And I'm dropping it. Because I cannot take Erik Larsen's writing with the whole thing of these sexual innuendos. That's still going on. Now you have this blue guy named Kevin who is
sleeping with Maxine's
mother. And Maxine is pregnant that's having another baby, and then saying, Malcolm, gee, Malcolm, did you get that, vasectomy, and did you do the thing? Why would you even put that in the comic book?
I really feel like Savage Dragon... Now, Savage Dragon has had its moments, but it really feels like this book has gone...
It's too much!
This book has gone way down the rabbit hole, honestly, and at this point, either Erik Larsen needs to stop the book, because he said he's the only one that ever wants to write Savage Dragon. When he dies, Savage Dragon dies. Either end the book now, because it is getting really... I mean, this book...
It's too much now.
I mean, there were certain bad things in the book. I'm not going to say that the book was always squeaky clean, but this book is just... It's really... It's spiraling down.
I couldn't even finish reading it.
Malcolm and Maxine were a very bad move on Erik Larsen's part. It really was. And I feel like at this point the only way to save Savage Dragon, unless people really are getting off on this sex in every book, which I hate Maxine. She seems like the dumb... I've only read 2 issues with her.
I would have said, like, seriously,
the dumbest character.
There's more to love than just that. Just stop.
She is like the dumbest character in the entire book. And Malcolm's another idiot. His father, and I know that Savage Dragon died, I'm sure his father's rolling in his grave. If you want to know my opinion, and this is from somebody who really doesn't read much of Savage Dragon, but I did read a little bit way back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you need to you need to go back when it was Savage Dragon, before Savage Dragon was put in jail, before Malcolm and Maxine took over the book, and you need to rewind time, and you need to somehow undo him going to jail and undo Malcolm and Maxine taking over the book, because that is the only way at this point you are going to save the Savage Dragon title. At this point, Savage Dragon is not Savage Dragon anymore at all, and I don't understand how Erik Larsen is still getting this book to print every single month.
Let's move into something nicer.
Pass me one of those before you.
All right. Since we all
I would like to see Savage Dragon at least nice again. I'm not saying completely clean, but this is really too far.
Make Savage Dragon great again?
Don't even.
Fate's Winter Wonderland Special. This actually, I really enjoyed this book. Now, it's not like Christmassy. It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland, but a little bit revised differently. Like, basically, Fate sees Mr. Rabbit. She goes down a rabbit hole, and the objective is to find Alice and get her memory back to remember who the people were, because she was in this darkness place in hell or something, and Faith wants to try to remind her about the people that she remembered who she encountered. Then after that, that was like really nice. And then in the end, when she met Alice, he gave her the picture, and that was like really nice. Like it was like really the holiday spirit of that, you know. That's what I liked about this book, and I really enjoyed it. Our nostalgia moment, because we grew up in the 90s. Rocco's Modern Life, issue number 1.
And I did get this physically, actually, because
I am glad you did.
You have to get Rocco's physically. I mean, we didn't get Rugrats physically, but Rocco. I mean,
well,
come on.
Rugrats.
The only other one other than Rocco, 2 that I would get would be Angry Beavers.
Oh, they bet. Would they make Angry Beavers?
I think they were talking about it, and they bet if you guys do, that would be awesome. Oh, I would be getting the variants. I'd be getting everything Angry Beavers, and if they did Our Real Monsters,
I was about to say
Our Real Monsters, Rocco, and Angry Beavers
and you got
are
the
the 3.
right over there.
Ironically, are the 3 series I would get physically.
Yeah, but in Rocco, I like how it went to the first episode when it first aired, where. You know, he gets fired from his job, and he has to, like, try to look for another job and everything. And, you know, you get this new guy who wants to be roommates with him to make more money and stuff like that.
And, of course, everything goes wrong.
Everything always goes wrong. With Filbert and Heifer, oh, God.
Oh, there were moments, though. There were lines in the book where I heard the actors' voices in those. It proves that if you get the people that write the comic to do the cartoon again, and also you don't make the cartoon 3D, you make the cartoon the way it's drawn in the comic, you could literally bring Rocco's Modern Life back, and it would be perfect. It would be like going back to the regular times.
And you gotta remember, turn the page, and you wash your hands. Turn the page, wash your hands. And then you turn the page, and then you wash your hands.
When he opened the door, and he's like, something not today, fellas.
Yeah. I
was like, oh, man.
I heard that voice.
I see it.
Yeah, and then the second story was Mr. Big Head going to the dentist and all that.
Yeah, that was just a nice little side. But it was a nice side story, but again, that's like one of the stories, like when you watch the main episode and then you have that little short in between. That was what I saw with Mr. Big Head.
Definitely something right there. Red Sonja, issue number 11. So in Red Sonja, we now have Sir Max and Red Sonja both trying to get back into their dimensions. Now, we know that Red Sonja and friends are going to the professor to try to find a portal where she can go back to her time, whereas Sir Max can come back to the time Red Sonja's in. So it's like a little switcheroo thing that they're trying to do. And of course, you have Goth who comes in and he has to ruin everything, you know, because that's what villains do. And things get a little bit haywire. Really something else. But I like the issue, though. It gets really interesting, but that got... want to knock him out one.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 77. So the Triceratons are on Earth, and they manage to escape Splinter because the other agents show up and save, I forgot his name, from being captured by Splinter. And what happens is Splinter ends up taking Bishop and disappearing. And later on in the book, we find out that he wants to team up with Bishop. You know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And he does not want these Triceratons in New York because they ruined the master plan of the Foot. So he wants to team up with Bishop to take out the Triceratons. And then, of course, they're going to go right back to hating each other. But he said, look, we'll help you. Let's work together to stop the Triceratons, get rid of them, kick them off Earth or send them wherever, imprison them, kill them. And then we can go back to business as usual. And Bishop, I think, actually was taken by surprise when Splinter did this.
Yeah.
But the Turtles, on the opposite side, end up going to Baxter Stockman, finding out the Triceratons are there. And Baxter Stockman, using his flies, is able to give the Turtles their location. They find the Triceratons, and we find out that the Triceratons are not happy that they weren't welcomed on Earth. So now they're planning a full-scale invasion to take over Earth and rule Earth. And the Turtles are kind of stuck in the middle. So now you got Splinter and Bishop working together to stop and kill the Triceratons. You got the Turtles kind of stuck in this mix. And now you got the Triceratons that are now going to invade Earth because of the way they were treated when they first arrived in the last issue. Crazy times are happening in TMNTU. And we're not even done with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles yet. Stick around for DC Comics.
The Walking Dead issue number 174. This actually was a really good book. It actually focuses more on Negan's story. Like, we remember how he, talked about his Bat Lucille and everything. But he actually turned over a new leaf for a better. Like, he's planting flowers and gardens, and he's
maybe he needed to be knocked down to
hold on. So after, like, he gets the bat and everything, he encounters with Maggie. And Maggie's, like, saying, you know, I really want to kill you for what you did to Glenn. And then he's trying to explain to her, you know, I know what I did then was wrong, and da-da-da. But he's, like, saying, you know what? You want to kill me? Just kill me. Do it. I know you want to do it and everything. And oh, that was, like, a scene. And then he's, like, saying, no, I won't kill you. You're going to have to live with it. Because he actually cried in this issue for Lucille. Well, I can understand because Lucille was his lover and everything. I mean, we all have that. But still, it was a really heartfelt issue. And Maggie kind of got a little kiss from one of the guys that went with her. So I'm like, oh boy.
Well, obviously, romance happens.
It does happen, but I'm just saying, that was a huge twist of events. And I really like this
Damn,
book,
that's a little dark of a picture. No, the next one is a little dark of a picture there.
Oh, I don't know.
Alright, we're going into the big two now. And we are starting with Iron Fist, issue number 75. So, I don't know how I'm feeling about Iron Fist anymore. I tell you, man, I'm trying. So, Sabretooth finds out that Constrictor, the imposter Constrictor, is actually Frank, the original Constrictor's son, who found out that his father was a Constrictor after he died, and wanted to basically do it better because he hated his father because he never knew his father, and then after finding out all this stuff about his father, he wanted to be better than him. Chao-Sin ends up getting what Constrictor had. Constrictor actually ends up in a very bad position, and Sabretooth actually takes him to the hospital, and Iron Fist is now chasing after Chao-Sin, or he's fighting the people that were working with Constrictor in order to find out where Chao-Sin, where Chao-Sin was going, and unfortunately they knew nothing, but Sabretooth ends up coming back, even though he says, hey, I'm done with you, we're done, I got what I wanted, and they actually end up teaming up to stop Chao-Sin, and we find out that Chao-Sin now has a means, read the book to find out how, to get to Kunlun, and that's where he's off to, and it's up to Danny and Sabretooth to chase after them and to stop them, and they do, as the portal closes. So now, Chao-Sin is at the gates of Kunlun, and Iron Fist and Sabretooth are right behind him. What's going to happen? It's going to be very interesting, the return of Danny to Kunlun, how it's going to be taken, and also he's going to obviously be defending Kunlun because he is the Iron Fist, the defender of Kunlun. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Captain America issue number, I can't see that number.
696.
696. Another one-shot story where Captain America ends up in another town where everybody's making a fuss about him. He ends up in this diner where this guy goes crazy knowing that, hey, it's Captain America. You free food, free everything. And then all these people show up and he sneaks Cap away. And then we find out that the swordsman is a swordsman. I am saying this.
Swordsman.
No, swordsman. Anyway, he's there. But this time Cap didn't know about it, unlike the first issue. And while he's taking a little bit of a tour in the back road, this was a very cheese whiz book. I'm going to let you guys know that right now. It was very cheesy. But as he's there, Swordsman puts his plan into motion. Enter Captain America, grand fight, happy ending. And now we find out somebody's following after him. This is a nice story. I can understand why a lot of people are kind of upset that there are no ramifications happening with Cap, but I think it was said best on Frontline, where everybody was basically on the same page, saying, everybody was upset about Hydra Cap. Mark Waid and Chris Samney were brought on the book to fix, to get Cap back on track. And I think that that's what they're doing. And everybody's like, well, there's no repercussions. But this was because everybody was so upset about what happened with Secret Empire that first, before we can deal with ramifications of Secret Empire, which we will, I'm sure, at some point, we need to get Cap back onto where he was, who he is. And that's what these first couple of issues are going to probably be all about. Is it cheesy? Absolutely. But I have faith in Mark Waid and Chris Samney. I really do. And we're gonna see where they bring Cap next. Obviously something there, it's all leading to something because we got like guy chasing after him or shadowing after him. So we'll have to see where it goes. But for me, it's an enjoyable book. It's somewhere in the middle for me, but not amazing, but definitely not lower tier either. And I don't mind a little bit of the cheese, especially because The other Cap American volumes didn't do really much for me. This one's at least interesting me a little bit. I'm enjoying it a little bit. So if it takes a little bit of cheese for me to enjoy it, so be it. XMen Gold issue number 17. I was not a fan of this issue, and I'm not a fan of this story arc. I mean, we went right back to the alien that everybody thought was a mutant, you know, in the very first arc of XMen Gold. And he went back, they captured Kitty. Nightcrawler is hiding away, but, you know, he can only stay hidden so long, and, you know, he can't bamf without knowing where he's bamfing to because he could end up killing himself or hurting somebody. So he's there trying to contemplate what his next move is going to be, if he's going to just keep hiding or if he's going to actually bamf. X-Men on Earth decide we're going to go and we're going to save, you know, our teammates, obviously. So the team gets put together. Wolverine hates his costume. They go off. They find out. They land on the planet. They find out a civil war is going on. They don't want to get involved, but have to get involved in order to save Kitty and Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler decides at the end of the book to make his leap of faith, and it was not a good one. But let us not forget, Nightcrawler cannot die. He's been mutilated several times and came back from death. It is because he came back from heaven that he is no longer able to die. So Nightcrawler, technically, is now immortal. Unless somehow he finds a way back to heaven through where he's at now. But yeah, Nightcrawler cannot die. That's an aspect that's really cool, but hopefully at some point Nightcrawler will be able to die again. I don't like the fact that no matter what happens to Nightcrawler, he's going to live. That it ruins the whole, if he's in a really precarious position, if he'll die. You know? So I don't like that aspect. I like it now, but I wouldn't like it in long term. Again, this was lower tier for me this week. I really didn't care for it as much. We'll have to see where it goes. Astonishing X-Men issue number 6. The end of the first story arc. Shadow King is defeated. Charles Xavier returns. And we lose Venom X because of it. Now, we also on the last issue, Venom X and Charles Xavier were talking with one another. And as he said, you know, you could live out an entire lifetime in the astral plane and not even, you know, it could be a second in our world. So 2-1, Venom X lived out a lifetime in the astral plane with Professor X, and in the end decides, I want to do something big, something that will get me remembered. So this is something big. He sacrifices himself, his consciousness, to bring Professor X back. So now Professor X has taken over Venom X. So he's not Professor X, he's not Venom X, he's just X. And, of course, there's a lot of action in between. Interesting stuff, but again, let's see where X goes next. Middle round for me this week for this book. However, Venom Inc Alpha, the one-shot, the start of this Venom Inc crossover between Venom and Amazing Spider-Man was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. You got Lee Price out there now stealing Maniac's symbiote, becoming Maniac, and now putting a group of Venoms that he controls together to take out Venom, Eddie Brock. You've got Flash Thompson wanting to reunite with the Venom symbiote because he believes Eddie Brock is doing nothing but hurting the symbiote, is using the symbiote badly. And you got Spider-Man caught up in all of this, and then Eddie Brock is just, you know, doing what Eddie Brock's been doing in Venom. And Flash finds Eddie. There is an altercation. The Venom symbiote sees Flash and Eddie, and all of a sudden, it's torn. Literally, it reaches out to both because it wants to be with Flash because Flash was his partner, and, you know, there's a bond there, and he wants to be with Eddie because Eddie is his first bond, it's second bond technically because Pete was his first, but it's first true deep bond with a human. And the symbiote's kind of confused. Spider-Man comes in and of course he doesn't really think. All he's thinking is he wants to save Flash and stop the symbiote. So the scientist, because they're in Alchemax, the scientist was cooking something up that would stop the symbiote, and Spider-Man, without really thinking about repercussions, uses that, drenches both of them. The Venom symbiote's still attached to Eddie, but the symbiote that was attached to Flash ends up being changed into Anti-Venom, which I think is cool because I think everybody wanted Flash to stay a Venom and Eddie to stay a Venom. So this is the best of both worlds. So Eddie isn't the anti-Venom anymore, which didn't fit Eddie anyway. Eddie's back to being just plain Venom. And Flash is now the anti-Venom. And anti-Venom looks exactly like Venom, except the colors are in reverse. The symbol is in black and the costume is in white. And it's a great way to end it. So Flash Thompson, apparently, I don't know if it'll stick after this arc. We'll have to see what happens. But Flash Thompson is now the new anti-Venom. And Lee Price is Maniac, and we've got lots of crazy stuff that's about to happen in Amazing Spider-Man and Venom. And that is it for Marvel. So let's go into some DC.
Green Arrow, issue number 35. So in this issue, we have Oliver Queen with his mom, Moira Queen, who is trying to take some information about the Ninth Circle. And before we get into all of what he's doing, you have I forgot what her name was. The attorney that's trying to not make a real life sentence for Oliver Queen to be in jail because of the whole Wendy Poole thing that happened, which she wasn't murdered. We get a little bit of a backstory about Wendy Poole, about what she's been through actually, with after Miko was talking to her and everything. And there was like so many other things, like Black Canary trying to tell Henry Piff that Oliver might be in trouble and we should really go and help him with all this. And then when Green Arrow found the information that he was going to get back to his mother, she says, "You've always been a good boy," and drives the boat away.
Wow.
I would tell you, I felt like, what mother would do that?
I don't know.
Like, seriously. Good book, and the artwork kind of changed a little bit, I must say, in an alright way.
And then, I don't know, I guess these should have been first, but they're not. These next two books for me are indie DC crossovers. We're going to start with my favorite one, Batman TMNT, Volume 2, Number 1. And this involves... Now, this is the comic universe again, everybody. We're going back to the comic Batman and the comic Turtles. Comic Turtles are not in the same continuity right now as the regular Turtles, because in the comic Turtles world, Splinter is with the Turtles. They're in the sewers. And obviously, it can't follow the comics because Shredder was put in Arkham Asylum in the previous volume of Batman TMNT comic version. And Karai is actually trying to lead the Foot Clan while Shredder is gone. You got Turtles who are helping Karai because she's getting attacked by these other ninjas who are claiming they are the true Foot Clan. And in this big kerfuffle, Donatello, who is not the strongest, he's the smart one, he's the one that makes the gadgets, ends up almost being killed. And it scars him a bit. He's like, all my brothers are able to have talents of fighting. I don't, and I almost died, and I'm always the one that gets in trouble. And then this connects to, I wish I had somebody I could talk to that was equally as smart but had talents as well, because Splinter said, not everybody is a master at everything. And Donatello's like, no, there's Batman, which is true. And he wants to send a message to Batman, so he leaves to go to Harold's lab, which is where the portal is, and he wants to leave Batman just a message. And over in Batman's universe, we got something going on with Ra's al Ghul and resurrecting somebody with a Lazarus pit in Gotham, and it turns out to be Bane. You guys saw the cover. And while all this is going on, Donnie's trying to send a message to Batman, but he gets attacked by those ninjas from the beginning of the book. They end up screwing the machine up, and what happens is we get a switcheroo. Donnie ends up in Batman's universe, and in exchange, Bane ends up in the Turtles universe. And now, I feel like this is what happened with the IDW, the animated series crossovers. We're going to have Batman possibly going to the Turtles universe, and then the Turtles going back to Batman's universe. I don't know how this is going to go, but it's definitely set up really good. I think this time, since the Turtles were in Batman's universe, this time Batman's going to travel over to their universe, which is cool. I like that. That's a very awesome idea. I can't wait to see where this story arc goes. The next one is Batman Shadow, issue number 3. So, oh God, why did his name leave me at the moment? Khan. The Shadow and Bruce and Batman make a move. And Khan is not happy about this move. And Ra's al Ghul's like, you got to pick your battles. Don't worry about it. Let them make their move. We'll stay in the shadows. And she's like, no, I'm not going to let this insolence go. And what happens is later on in the book, long story short, there's a lot of stuff that happens with Damien and stuff like that. Artwork's okay in this book. But Khan ends up confronting Bruce and Lamont. And a fight breaks out, but we find out a bit of a twist from the last volume. I like how all of a sudden he's able to control Batman, and Khan's like, did you really think you came back from death? No, you died, and I am in control of you because Khan can control the dead. So Batman, technically, as far as what we're left on with the cliffhanger, is dead. He had died. He was not resurrected. He was not brought back to life. And that's going to be very interesting. I don't think that's true. I think that's like a little twist.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying this arc. But again, with Batman TMNT going on with Batman Shadow, I'm a little bit closer to TMNT. But I did like Batman Shadow. I did like where the story's going. I'm interested in seeing what happens next. But I remember watching the Shadow movie. I hated Khan so much. Alright, now we're going into straight up DC again, and we are at the holiday special for 2017. Which they might as well have called the Christmas special because every single story in this book is Christmas related. So either, if you're going to call the book a holiday special, put in other holidays, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or call it your Christmas special like you used to, DC. Either way, I mean, I wouldn't mind if they put more holidays in it. It would be fine. So the whole story this time around goes around Bibbo talking with Clark, who it's the end of the year. He does this all the time where he goes into Bibbo's bar, has a club soda, and Bibbo explains to him that because he's doubting himself as Superman. So he talks about, down about Superman to Bibbo. And Bibbo realizes, he's like, well, you do this every year, man. And he's like, let me tell you, because Clark is down and not really sure about things. And Bibbo's like, let me tell you a couple of stories. You get a Batman story, you get a Green Arrow story, you get a Batman Wonder Woman story. Green Arrow story was okay, I think.
Yeah, it was just him and Black Canary fighting the bad guys to save Christmas because there were these robbers who wanted to take Christmas away or something. So that was actually a good story. I read that.
And then there's a couple other little stories here and there, but then it goes back to Clark, and also Constantine's in this bar, and he's just bah humbugging everything.
Oh, I saw that.
And Bibbo kicks him out, and Clark thanks Bibbo. He says, you made me, you definitely made me feel a lot better. And he's like, this is why I do it every year, and I actually feel like there's still hope. And he walks out, and he brings back Constantine to his house because, you can't be alone on Christmas. Constantine's all down and out, so he brings him back. And that's it. It was a nice story, and then you get a little bit of a oh God, who did the artwork in the back of the Neil Adams? You get they gave a little bonus story at the end with an older Batman story, Christmas story that was done a while back, and that was nice to add in. But it's a $10 book. It goes back to, are you willing to pay the $10 for a holiday book, or did you do what we did, which was we got it at DCBS and we only paid $5 for it? This is by no means a $10 book. I truly believe this book would have been fine at a $5 price tag. I don't know why DC or any comic company would charge $10 for a book. At least this was a thick book. It had a lot of stuff in it, but again, to charge $10, even $7 would be better than $10. That's the only thing I have to say about the holiday special that is a downside. Upside was it was a very nice book. Nightwing issue number 34. It actually made me enjoy. I was very surprised and pleasantly surprised at the ending to this arc. So Raptor ends up being defeated, and not just defeated, but killed off at the end of this issue. The whole premise of the fight between Dick and Raptor and Pigeon and Defacer, in the end, long story short, is we find out that Raptor's real name was Richard and how close he was to Mary. And Dick actually tried to reach out to him and say, just go back and do your time, and then you come back out and, you protect people like you wanted to protect Mary. And I like how he almost got through to Raptor, and then, of course, Blockbuster comes in and, well... But in the end, I also like the relationship between Dick and Sean. Sean's like, Nightwing can call on me. You can call on Defacer and the Runoffs anytime, but Dick, you can't call me, because she can't be too happy and she can't be too upset. And being with Dick does that to her. So as Nightwing, he can call on them anytime. As Dick, they can't date. It just won't work. And I like how, you know, everything kind of wrapped itself up with a bow, and then a couple of weeks later, you know, Bloodhaven's welcoming Dick in. Everybody's happy. And, well, not happy, but, you know, it's as good as it can be. And you see that Dick is working with the Runoffs now, and Bloodhaven is under their protection. The police officer woman is now more friendly with Dick. And then they're not as like, you need to leave and go back to Gotham. They actually are more welcoming to Dick now. And I like it. I think that this story is on an upward swerve. And also Blockbuster allows Nightwing to stay. He's like, you know what? You need to stay because the blood definitely needs you. And then he ends up tricking Blockbuster. I thought it was a good ending to the story. Batman White Knight issue number 3. I like how the second Harley is now trying to... find a way to bring the Joker back and get rid of, Napier. And Napier is still, for a person who's not the Joker, he's still pretty darn crafty, I will say that much. And you see that the world is starting to turn on Batman, but at the same time, Batman's still a good guy. So I'm a little disappointed with White Knight, because this was supposed to be the story where Batman was the bad guy and Joker was the good guy. However, in this book, we see that Batman's still the good guy, and Joker is just trying to legally take down Batman. And also, unfortunately, we see the end of Alfred in this book. Batman comes back from a fight.
Oh.
And he faints. Alfred wakes up, but ends up sacrificing himself to patch up Bruce. Wow. And now, of course, Bruce is second-guessing being Batman, and Barbara's like, you can't leave, Gotham needs Batman, you have to fight this. So we'll see where the story arc goes, we will. I'm interested, but at the same time, again, this was advertised very poorly. It was supposed to be evil Batman, good Joker. It's just, edgier Batman, and Joker trying to still screw him over, but as a person. Last 2 books, and these were 2 of my faves. Well, this one was sort of it was mid-ground for me. Superman, issue number 36. Long story short, Lex is out cold. Superman takes over the role as Apocalypse's protector. And at the same time, of course, he has to go back to Earth. So he tries to set things right. There's a huge fight at the beginning of the book, though. Awesome fight, and you get to see... I like how he's like... Lois, I missed you. And she's like, did I tell you how much, how happy I am to see you? She's like, no, tell me again. And after the fight, he ends up accepting as, Apocalypse's next ruler / protector. And he says, if I'm ever needed, if you ever need me, all you gotta do is reach out to me. He gets the mother box this time. So Lex loses his mother box. He gets the mother box. And actually, they ask what to do with Lex, and he says mercy is what they're gonna do. And I like how the guy who tells the future is like, are you really sure? Because he's like, no, this is how we're going to do things. So Lex ends up going home. Superman is now on guard for Apocalypse. For now, we all know that Darkseid's going to come back. There's going to be a fight, and then Darkseid's going to get Apocalypse back. But for now, hope is on Apocalypse, finally, once again. And the ending, I think, was the most important part to this book, where Lex gets upset that, hey, where were you? I called for you, Just League, anybody else calls for you, you're there like that. Why didn't you come for me? And it just turns out to be, it's dangerous. He's like, I dealt with Apocalypse, you lied to them, you didn't tell me, and it's dangerous to trust a hypocrite. And he gives a long speech, and then Lex just hears the dangerous part. He's like, dangerous? He rips the S off, melts it, and basically... In other words, I'm done with you. I'm done trying to impress you. I'm done trying to, be a partner. I'm done with everything. And Superman's just like, see you around, Luthor. Because he was calling him Lex because they were supposed to be friends. And this was the whole symbolism of the end of the friendship between Lex Luthor and Superman, and now we're going to possibly, more than likely, be going back to the status quo. And 2-1, if Lex does not totally get rid of the suit, he is definitely going back to the green and purple, possibly? Or maybe he'll keep the suit blue and whatever, but there will be no S on it. So Lex is officially dropped from the super family, I guess. Well, we'll see what happens. Good ending, though. Really, the artwork could have been better, though. Finally, Batman issue number 36. This was my favorite book of the week. Superman and Batman literally on parallel throughout this entire book. Tom King really did an excellent job with both. Superman being upset that his best friend still hadn't told him that he was engaged, and he's not trusting Catwoman because Catwoman's a burglar. And Batman saying, he doesn't need a congratulations. He doesn't, And I love how the parallels, they were basically saying the other one was the better guy. Batman was talking about Clark's past and how he is, he's 20 times a better man than him. And Superman saying how Batman's a better man, man than him. And I also love how Lois and Catwoman both. Lois is like, you don't think if Catwoman figured out where Batman lived, who Batman is, all these things, she's a cat burglar and one of the smartest. You don't think she knew who you were? And then in the next panel, Catwoman's like, you do know I know that Superman is the guy, the reporter from the Daily Planet. He writes about Superman. All he wears is his glasses and slicks his hair back. Come on. Clark Kent is Superman. I already know that. So if you're worried about me knowing that, you don't have to. And I just love that moment where if you're afraid to tell me the truth, I already know. And then the ending where they finally, they're fighting these two supervillains separately, and then the two supervillains end up together, or they're both looking on the same case, and Superman and Batman make quick work of it. And I love how they look at each other and like, you took the elevator? Yeah, they want to break a window, and then Lois and Catwoman are like, hi, I'm Lois Lane, I'm Catwoman, nice to meet you. Superman and Batman make easy work of the supervillains, and it ends with, so you want to go out to eat? Double date time. It proves how strong of a friendship they have. I just felt a little bit off when Superman and Batman both said they couldn't be friends, but at the same time, they are literally the best of friends. And it actually took Cat's little explanation to kind of make it work more for me. And I understand it a little bit better, where they are basically like brothers, but at the same time, Superman was upset because Batman didn't tell him yet. And Batman was afraid to tell Superman to begin with because he idolizes Superman. Superman idolizes Batman. They both idolize each other like, brothers. So it was an excellent book, and the artwork was great. The artwork definitely was great. And I love the parallel back and forth. This was an excellent book. If you need to read anything this week, this was a book to read for sure. And I'm really looking forward to where Batman's going next. I really am. Batman is the stronger between Batman and Detective. Unfortunately for everybody on Superman, I'm sorry to say this, but Action Comics is stronger than Superman right now. So they're on parallel. Detective is a little bit lower than Batman, and Action's a little bit higher than Superman right now. But that doesn't mean anything. I mean, I'm reading all four books, and I'm enjoying all four. It's just the parallel is kind of funny that Action and Batman are the two best books from the two of them. I would love to see a World's Finest. I wouldn't mind if they cancel Trinity, or with the ending of Superwoman, they brought back Superman, Batman, World's Finest, or just Superman, Batman, what it was called before. Yep. I could live with that. I would love to see that, but I think they'd have to get rid of Trinity because it makes no sense to have Superman, Batman, and then Trinity. I don't think we need Wonder Woman. I think we could do Superman, Batman alone. That's just my thoughts. Only my opinion. I mean, you guys are welcome to say different. And now it's your turn anyway. Let us know what you thought about the books that came out this week. Likes, dislikes, agree, disagree. We'd love to hear from you guys. And we'd love to know what you guys think about this full digital. Now, unfortunately, it's not done the way we wanted. We wanted to do it early to say, hey, look, we got the review out early because we did it digitally. So just kind of look over the part that this review is a bit later than when we normally do it. Because if we did do it all digital, this review might have been on Sunday or Monday. More like afternoon instead of now. So just take that into consideration for if we did go all digital with our reviews. Which actually is something we are considering. Mm-hmm. It is something we're considering. But at the same time, let us know. And we'll talk about it. And we'll let you guys know at the beginning of next year. Till then, guys, take care. Keep reading, keep collecting, and we'll see you guys next time for another Dark Avenger comic book review.
Hey, everyone.